any topic, anything at all. And, for the sake of my explanation this morning, I'm just going to pick grocery shopping. And you write down grocery shopping on a piece of paper at the very top. And then underneath that, you're going to write down phrases and words that are related to grocery shopping. And that could be a shopping list. It could be cold aisle. It could be produce. It could be Target. It could be Walmart. Just everything and anything that you can think of. Now, once you have done that, now you want to, again, just randomly pick another term. And you're going to write that term to the right of grocery shopping, again, at the top of the page. And underneath that, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to write out comments, phrases, keywords that remind you of that other topic. And that other topic, again, for the sake of this example, I'm going to choose church. Underneath that, you're going to write out all the terms: hymns, congregation, prayer, tithing, Sunday school, Bible. Okay? And once you have done that, then you're going to find some correlation, whether it's just appropriate or inappropriate or random or just complete opposites of the two. Okay. Now, what the joke doctor really puts emphasis on is, while you're doing this, you're not looking for jokes necessarily right away. You're looking for correlations. You're looking for oxymorons. You're looking for opposites. You're looking for two terms that rhyme or have some relation or have exact opposite relations. Right? And once you start to do that, you will find humor and you will find opportunities to build one-liners, potentially build stories. And that is the concept. Now, I could not come up with an example between church and shopping. And this is where I'm at in my career, but it's definitely a method that I'm going to continue to experiment with. Very excited. And, the one thing that I'll encourage all of our listeners to really embrace is, it's really not about motivation, because motivation is a feeling. When you're doing these things, it's really about dedication and just keep pushing. Don't stop. Okay. Even if it means you try 10 different concepts and 9 out of the 10 fail, right? Or they just don't stick. So wanted to share that with you. The other thing I want to add to it is what the joke doctor recommends. And again, this is another comedian. He has a lot of experience, I think over 2 decades. And what he recommends is to write, once you've adopted a concept, and listing is one of them, is to write 10 jokes a day. 10 jokes a day, which would give you 365 jokes a year. 3,650. Is my bear math right this morning?
I think so. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. And understand that out of the 10 jokes a day, one joke is really going to be worth keeping. So essentially what you end up at the end of the year is 365 jokes. And then out of those 365, you may have a third of those that are worth taking up on the stage. But what he adds is take the other 2/3, and whether it's at open mic or in front of colleagues or family, test those out, experiment with those, because those could easily carry over to the next year or become part of that 1/3 that could expand. Okay. So that's the idea. Guys, it really just takes sitting down every day and writing. And that really is what it is. And that's what I wanted to share with you this morning. It's the takeaway, guys.
Yeah, I think what I'd like to add on top of that for those that are listening because they just want open source, right? Like they don't have the time. The IT guys out there, I'm not trying to be a comic. I just want open source. What I'd like you to just sort of take away from that is recognize that that's what we're trying to do ourselves, is put in that time, that effort, and come out with jokes that you hear here that seem like, oh, that's cool. That's a little off the cuff. That's neat that, I might use that at work today, but recognize the amount of work behind it just to get it to where we are, where that joke is right now. Right. So like, and in fact, I worked on a joke this weekend, and because of imposter syndrome, we've been talking about it. And it was a joke that I started with. It was, I think when I started, it was, I went to my doctor, told him I have imposter syndrome. Tim, you had done, he said, you probably don't. And I said, hey, I'm going to take that a little bit further. Hey, I talked to my doctor. I said, I have imposter syndrome. And he said, yeah, after I failed out of med school, I felt that way for a long time. And that didn't really get a joke, didn't really get much of a laugh because it just didn't draw the conclusion that I was trying to draw, which is my doctor just said he failed out of med school. So how's he my doctor? So I worked on it this weekend, and I talked to my therapist this weekend, or I talked to my therapist last week and said, hey, I feel like I've got imposter syndrome. And he said, I don't know why you would have imposter syndrome. That sounds crazy to me. He said, like for instance, I've had 3 patients this week have complete nervous breakdowns, but you don't see me walking around like I'm an imposter. So that's the next level. That's the next step, right? Still not a great joke. Still probably needs work, but that's what we're doing. Kind of, I just want to sort of on the backside of everything that you see here is we're working on these things, almost nonstop. Like the brain is going, even if, even in those instances where you don't, where we're not sitting there writing, thinking, et cetera. And that joke obviously needs work, but it might end up being like, at some point, some of these things you just have to let go. Yeah, it's just never going to develop. The other one, though, that I thought was pretty good, I have to give credit to my son on this one, but it was, you think you have imposter syndrome? Imagine looking like me and being called black your whole life. No? Right? Jerry Black?
I always thought that whole situation for you was funny because everyone that I talk about, you too, like immediately you could just see it in their eyes. This guy's a black guy.
Mm-hmm.
Must be black, right? Oh, I expected him to be black. Yeah. Which doesn't make any sense just because your last name is now, if your last name was Washington, then that's understandable, right?
Tyrell Washington. Oh, okay. That's a white dude? Yeah. Jerry Wong. Yeah.
Now, what would be really comical is if, I talked about you and I told everybody, hey, Jamal Johnson or Darnell Johnson is a good friend of mine, just became friends, and I wanted you to meet him. And then show up, and then there's Jerry Black. I have a few jokes myself today. Sorry.
Yeah. You got to hit it, and then we got to go because we're at 8.
Well, I already checked in with those guys, but I have imposter syndrome, don't I?
That's good. That's good. All right.
One more.
All right.
And actually, folks, I took this from upjoke.com. So a lot of good stuff there. I didn't create these myself. And again, it goes back to I'm still working on my craft. Last joke I've got is I often tell people I have imposter syndrome, but I'm sure they can tell I'm lying.
Yeah. And the other one is better.
It is good.
That's my favorite imposter syndrome joke so far. All right. Thanks everybody for joining. And we will talk again.